Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Harsh and in this video I am going to launch a new course SQL Essential. So this entire course will have 4 playlists. This is the first video of the first playlist. We are going to talk about the very basic introductory part of SQL in this video. Basically, we are going to cover following 6 topics in this video, starting from the brief history of SQL, why SQL is important to learn, what is the database, which is the most basic unit for learning SQL. Then we will see the definition of SQL, what is DBMS, which is Database Management System, and at last we will see what is RDBMS, which is Relational Database Management System. Let's start with the first topic, which is History of SQL. In this section, I'm going to cover all the important years where some significant development or some important modification was done in the world of SQL. So it was first born in 1970 in a laboratory of IBM company in United States, where two young researchers named as Donald Chamberlain and Ray Boyce published a research paper where they first time talk about how to deal with the structured data and how to manage and how to store it. For doing that, they created a language called Structured English Query Language, which was the mother of SQL, but later, due to copyright issues, it was renamed to SQL, which is Structured Query Language. And this name is prevalent till now and is widely accepted and used by all the organizations. Later in 1979, Oracle company first commercialized it. After that, it became very popular and all the organization started adopting it for managing their data. Later in 1986, it was also adopted by ANSI, and in the very next year in 1987, it was also adopted by ISO. Later in year of 2003, XML data type was introduced in SQL, which allowed us to deal with semi-structured data also using SQL. In the same year, window functions was introduced, which is very popular till now, and it is very much useful for solving complex SQL problems. Then in 2016, they adopted JSON support also. It improved the semi-structured data support more. Then in 2023, they provided some enhanced data types related to JSON data, and also they introduced aggregate functions like greatest, leads, etc., which is very handy and useful for day-to-day uses. This was all about the basic history of SQL. Let's jump into the next topic, which is importance of SQL. I am going to talk about 7 points which will make you believe why you should learn SQL in today's world also, when there are new technologies coming in every day. First point is, it's a universal language for data management. You might be working with relational data like any of the DBs like MySQL, Postgres, Oracle, SQL Server, Teradata, IBM DB2, etc. Or you might be dealing with no SQL data. For example, MongoDB, Cassandra, HBase, Couchbase, etc. So all these kind of data can be handled and managed by SQL. Point number 2 is that it is integrated into modern big data technologies. So if in your project you are working with a Spark, then also you can simply use Spark API called spark.sql, and inside that you can use your simple SQL statements. Then also you will be able to fetch and manage data stored in your Spark server. Also, if you are working with Databricks in your current project, you can use a %SQL magic command, which will allow you to write SQL kind of statements, and you can manage data using your Databricks notebooks. Point number 3 is it is needed for BI tools and dashboard. If you are working with any of the BI tools as a developer, then the backend of this dashboard is SQL in most of the cases. Whatever report you are seeing at the front end is backed by SQL only. If you are working with any of these tools, SQL is must for you to know. Point number 4 is SQL has a low learning curve. It means it is easy to read and understand. Its syntax are very similar to English language. Lot of online resources are available for you to learn SQL. Also, it is open source and it is easy to set up in your local computer for you to practice. Point number 5, it is also used in modern cloud platform. So if you are dealing with any of the cloud, AWS, GCP, Azure, or any other cloud platforms, or even if you are working with Databricks or Snowflake or any other similar technologies, all are providing full support to SQL. So if you are good at SQL, it will be very easy for you to adopt any of the cloud platform. Point number 6, it is essential for all data roles. You may be ETL developer, data analyst, data engineer, or data scientist. Without knowing SQL, you cannot work easily in any of the profile. Point number 7, it is important for interviews as well. If you are going to appear in any kind of interview which revolves around the data in some or the other way, then it is 100% sure that you will face at least some of the interview questions which is related to SQL. So that's why you must learn it. At last, here is a bonus point for you that SQL is over 50 years old, but still it's a number one language for data management. That's how powerful it is. Now you know what is the importance of SQL and why you should learn it. Now jump into the next topic, which is what is database. Database is an organized collection of structured or unstructured data stored electronically that allows efficient access, management, and updating data using a database management system. What it means? It means that any storage system can be called as a database only if it has the following properties. It should be organized, it can be easily manageable for adding new data, deleting the existing data, and accessing the data which is already present in the database whenever is needed. Also, it should be secured. The only authorized person should be able to access the data and do any changes. So if any storage system have all these properties, then we can term that as a database. Now let's talk about what is SQL. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. It is a programming language which is used for querying, managing, or interacting with relational structured databases and their object. When I say structured data, so if we are storing data in form of a table which have rows and column, then we called it a structured data. Here this vertical things we called them as columns and this horizontal things we called them as rows. Each column has a specific name like ID, name, age, location, contact, etc. But the rows don't have any specific name associated with them, but each value of the row is associated with a column name. So if any data is present like this, we call them structured data or tabular data. And if you want to query anything from this data or if you want to make any changes in this data, then we use SQL. Example of SQL is given here. If you want to fetch all the data from this table, we can simply write select star from employee detail. Employee detail is the table name. Here is star represent all the columns. So this query will result all the rows and all the column from this table. This is how simple it is. Now let's talk about what is DBMS. DBMS stands for Database Management System. Now we know what is a database and what is table and what is SQL. So now we need a software which will allow us to create databases and store data into the databases using SQL. For this, we need a software or a suite of software which will allow us to perform all these actions. And the suite of software is nothing but our database management system. It allows users to create, manage, and interact with databases and its object. So basically, it provides us an interface to perform any required operations on any database and its objects. What are the types of DBMS? DBMS has basically two types, RDBMS and NoSQL or non-relational systems. In this video and in this entire playlist, we will focus on RDBMS only. So what is Relational Database Management System? RDBMS is a type of DBMS that stores data in form of tables, also called as relations. So there are basically two reasons for which we call them as relational database management system. First one is already mentioned here, that these tables are also called as relations because we store data in form of tables and the table are known as relations. We can call this system as RDBMS. The second reason is that because we are not going to store a single table in a database, right? We have a huge amount of data and we need to create multiple tables to manage the given data. And for ease of management, we need to have some reference between the tables. That reference we can achieve using the primary and foreign key setup. Like that, we can establish a relationship between the tables present inside databases. Because those tables are related using these keys, that is another reason we called it as relational database management system. So basically this RDBMS has two parts. First one is the database server, which serve as a backend of the RDBMS. Second one is the client interface, which serve as a front-end tool for interacting with the RDBMS. Let's talk about each of the component. First one is the database server. It basically performs three things. It stores and manages actual data like tables, indexes, etc. It processes the query given by the users and it also handles the transaction, security, concurrency, and optimization of the query. Example are the backend systems are Oracle Database Server, MySQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server, PostgreSQL, etc. Coming to the second component, which is the client interface or front-end tool. What it does, it provides a way for users or app to interact with the DBMS, where we can write our queries to interact with the tables present inside DBMS. Examples are like GUI tools like SQL Developer given by Oracle, dbeaver, pgadmin given by PostgreSQL, or there are command line tools like SQL Plus or PSQL. Also, there are APIs, for example, JDBC, ODBC, etc., which will allow us to write queries or a way to interact with the RDBMS. Here is a table which represents all the famous databases and their common GUI tools, which are currently available and widely used in the market. Example is Oracle, Oracle SQL Developer, Toad, etc. For MySQL, MySQL Workbench is there. For PostgreSQL, pgadmin or dbeaver we can use as a front-end tool. SQL Server gives us the SQL Server Management Studio, also known as SSMS. Also for SQLite database, we have dbeaver or SQLite, SQLite Studio, etc. for interacting with the RDBMS. So hope now you have the basic understanding of what is SQL, what is database, what is RDBMS, what is DBMS, what is table, rows, column, etc. Hope you found this video useful. That's it for this video. See you in the next video. Until then, take care. Goodbye.